Okay, listen here. So the next supplementary, the important points alone we are going to discuss there, not in a detailed way. Okay, the important keywords alone. So the title is footprints without feet. Okay, so the one word means, okay, the scientists who discovered something in order to not to make in a very good form, that too in a very worst thing like animal. Okay, so he become visible, in which means he become invisible, and then what are things he has done. Okay, and then end of the story, what sort of things we should learn from that story. Okay, like when we invent something, how we should use that. Okay, in the very right way, or else something very bad like anymore means what will happen. Okay, that's what we are going to learn here. Okay, so the story starts that, okay, the man who was there in a what place, my dear? Was there in a London. Okay, and the next the story starts with that. Okay, the two boys, they have started surprising that only that muddy imprints alone is there, that too a pair. Okay, a pair of bare feet, that footprints alone, it is visible one by one, step by step. So what happened, these two boys, they become very surprised anymore, and then they have started to follow that man. Okay, but what happened, okay, they have gazed, and then the fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. Okay, so they have followed it. Okay, but later on what happened, the steps started to descending. Okay, descending means nothing but coming down. Okay, and then the boys follow that with a very fascinated things. Fascinated means once we are very interested. Okay, which means very interest towards it. Okay, that's what we have mentioned, that fascinated means impressed. Okay, and then what happened, they have started to follow that muddy impression, but later what happened, the footprints becomes very fainter and fainter. Fainter and fainter means what, my dear? Reduced. Okay, fainting, fading. Okay, the sound becomes fad like anymore. Okay, which means it reduced. Okay, so what happened, it started to disappear. Okay, so the explanation of mystery will really simple enough. Okay, it's not, this point is very important. The explanation of mystery was really simple enough. Okay, so which means these boys, okay, they had been following the scientists, and then who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. The scientist name called Griffin. Okay, so the scientist Griffin, he had carried out the experiment, and then he proved that human body could become invisible. Okay, what is proven statement? The human body could become invisible. Okay, and then he has swallowed some other rare drugs. Okay, and that's what the body becomes very transparent. See the word, that a sheet of glass, and the next word is very important, as solid as a. Okay, so it transparent as a sheet of glass, though it is also reminded like a solid. Okay, so two frame of information is very important. Sheet means they represent for the meaning for a transparent, and then how it looks like. Okay, definitely it will be looks like a solid. Okay, when we touch someone, definitely when someone touch that, definitely they will feel that. Okay, but the brilliant scientist, okay, the Griffin, he was a lawless person. Okay, lawless means, okay, definitely he is not going to use his invention in a right way. Okay, because he is a person who doesn't want to follow any law like anything. Okay, and then the very first, okay, he dislikes the landlord. Okay, so what happened, he tried to eject him. In revenge, what happened, the very first crime what he did, he set a fire to the house. Once he become very invisible, the very first crime what happened, he set a fire to the house. Okay, and the next, okay, he had been he get away from that place. Okay, by removing all the clothes. Okay, then only he can become invisible in order to that. Okay, and then he become a homeless wanderer. Homeless wanderer means how the person who used to roam here and there. Okay, walk here and there without having anyone's discussion, without someone's supports, without someone questions. Okay, the people can go anywhere. So he was wandering like anything, without cloth and even without money, and even quite invisible now. Okay, so what happened, until he get into the step into the mud like anymore, he will never leave any footprints. But if he left in the mud or some other different places, means definitely the person already in the story, the boys, how they have surprised, definitely footprints will be there behind him. Okay, and the next. So what happened? He escaped easily from the boys. When the footprints become fainter and fainter, he escaped. And then what happened? He had chosen, see the word that. So he has chosen a bad time of the year to wander above the London without clothes. Why? Because that is a mid of the winter. That season you should remember, it is a mid of the winter. Definitely it will be very cold like anymore. The Europe countries like anything, even they will declare the holiday in the winter season. Okay, so it is a mid of the winter, so he could not do without any clothes. Okay, so what happened? Instead of walking above the street, he decided to slip into a big London store. For what reason? For warmth. Okay, so he want to make himself very warm. That's what he ventured into the big London store. So this is the very first place. So first crime, he fired the owner's house. Okay, and then first place where he has entered means a big London store. The reason for that, in order to keep him very, very warm. Okay, the closing time arrived, so everyone started to close the door. But a griffin was not able to give himself pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard of any expenses. Okay, so he was very pleasure when the shop was closed. Okay, he used to wear the clothes and then he used to feed himself, which means food like anymore. Okay, and then he broken, which means he broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with the warm clothes. Soon with the shoes, even not only clothes, even shoes and an overcoat and even a wide brimmed hat. Okay, like cricket we should remember, the umpires and all, they used to wear, right? Okay, in the text series. Okay, all the players will be wearing that, the wide brimmed hat. Okay, which means it is like that. Okay, even the image itself we can find that. Okay, so this is what. Okay, and then he was taken the clothes, even the shoes, overcoat and even the wide brimmed hat. Okay, and then he become fully dressed and then now he become very visible. Okay, but if you took off his cap, which means a coat or a hat or something there in his body, definitely he will be very transparent like a sheet and then solid like a glass. Okay, and then what happened in the kitchen restaurant, he found the cold meat and then coffee. Okay, cold meat and then the coffee. In extracts, in long answer definitely, in short answer we are not supposed to write it. If particularly if they have asked the question what he has done in the big London store, means you want to elaborate all those things. But in extracts they can ask you this question. Okay, what he had in his kitchen. Okay, oh, the cold meat and then the coffee. Okay, and he followed up with a meal with the sweets. Okay, he had a meal even and then along with the sweets, and then he has had the wine even, which was taken from the grocery store. Finally he stepped down to sleep on the pile of the coals. Okay, and the next day morning. Okay, next morning what happened? He wake up. Okay, and then the assistants were entering into that. Okay, they were arriving into that big London store. So he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving the next morning. When he saw a couple of them approach, he panicked. He got a fear like anymore, and then he began to run first. Okay, he began to run. Who said the word that? Okay, what is your first plan? I want to run. Horace Danby. Okay, so here the same. When he saw the very first man in the shop, he began to run. Okay, and then naturally they gave a chase like anything. In end, what he did, he was able to escape only that quickly taking off. Okay, the word remove, take off, remove. Okay, taking off his newly founded cloth. So once more he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January hour. Okay, mid winter January, that you have to remember. Okay, so and then right now the time is decided. The next place he is going to enter. Okay, what is that? A theatrical company. Theatrical company means what will be there, my dear? Definitely there they can have n number of, what it is, n number of costumes will be there. Is it so or not? Okay. In shops there they have a which means a hat and then overcoat and then dresses and foods he had. But theatrical company means definitely you will get n number of things. Okay. Same here what happened? He entered into the theatrical company, okay, in hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulder. Empty space above his shoulder means it means his head. Okay. So right now he had a hat, coat, that's it. If someone watches there, okay, definitely that will be like a transparent between the cap and then the shoulder. So hereby this is going to be filled only in this theatrical company, okay. Shivering with the cold in the January, midwinter, shivering like anything, he hurried to the Drury Lane. Okay, actually in London we have a Drury Lane theatre even. Okay, on those days, okay, the theatre, the company will be in the same place. The actors also will be there. Do you understand? Right now, when we go to some other circus, have you ever watched the circus or not? Okay, that particularly the person will be there in circus company. He will make the experiment and then they will pay for it, right? Says or no? Same like that. Once the theatrical company and the theatres will be there, drama people will be there to enact and then they will get the pay. That's it. It is not like our modern theatres. Okay, it is not like our modern theatres. Okay. So here what happened? The Drury Lane theatre, once it is very famous in London. Okay. So now Drury Lane, he went into the street of Drury Lane and then the center of the theatre world. Theatre world means just imagine that, okay, nowadays we have in Chennai many, what it is, the shooting company is there. Company in the sense means not producing company. The places itself will be there. The sets and all will be there, you know. Can you remember some other thing? What are they? AVM studio. Okay, another studio. Sun Pictures. That is a production. Huh? Some other studio, like studio in the sense means that they have sets and everything. They will shoot and then they will broadcast the thing. Only AVM studio, you know that. Apart, nowadays, they used to name, right? Sorry? Film City. There we can learn how it is enacted and then there we can learn. If you go to the Film City, definitely you will learn. Studio Green, whether it is a production company or a place of that. I think so, it is a production company, okay. So let me get into it. So theatre world means everything will be there. If you once you enter into it, okay, definitely you will learn that, okay, for example, if you want to take a desert like places means already the location will be created like there in any one of the corner of the company. There they will take that, okay. So same like that, he enter into the theatre world. So just imagine that how fancy it is, okay. And then he found a suitable shop there, okay, he found the suitable shop. He made his way invisible upstairs and came out of the little later wearing the, what it is, my dear, wearing the bandages around his forehead, okay. So he wear his bandages and then he wear the dark glasses and then what nose that is? False nose, okay. So he had bandages over the head and then the glasses and even the false nose, okay. And then the big bushy side whisker, okay, the big bushy wide side whisker and then the large hat even again, okay, to escape without being seen, okay, to escape without being seen. What he did, he cautiously attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him all the money. So you should remember it, he may not have any money to pay. So what in order to that, what he did, okay, he has taken all the things, he weared it and then from his behind he has beaten the shopkeeper and then he robbed all the things without paying any sort of things, okay. And then which he robbed him all the money he could find, not only the costumes, even he robbed even the money, okay. And the next to that, where he went? First he went to the big store in London. Second he went there in which place, my dear? Theatrical company, particularly where it was located? Drury Lane, okay. And the next to that he is going to reach the another place. See the word that Eager to get away from the crowded London, okay, he took a train. Okay, now by wearing the what it is, bandages, glass, and then the hat, and even the false nose, and then the very big whisker, okay, he started to travel on the train, okay, and then village name call, what it is, my dear, Ipping, okay, where he booked a two rooms at the local inn, okay. So this is the third place he is going to visit, okay. So there he booked the two rooms in the local inn. Inn means nothing but it is like a staying place, okay. There they will provide the accommodation and along with the even a food, okay. So arrival of the strangers at a inn in winter time, it is not a usual event, it is like an unusual event, okay, because the people won't go towards the Europe country like anything during the winter season. Even the resident of the Europe countries will not come out to go for any jobs or schools like anything. They will declare holiday, particularly in the mid of the winter when it is very heavy like anything. So this is very unusual that the person coming to the inn and then booking the inn, and then that too it is a two room, okay, that is a very unusual event. So the person, the owner of the inn, she has noticed that, okay. So hereby we came to know about it. A strange of such uncommon appearance set all. Even not only that, okay, the booking the rooms in the mid of the winter, not only that it is unusual, even the look of that, the appearance of that person, it is not a common appearance, it is a very uncommon. Throughout his face he weared only the bandages, okay. And then Mrs. Hall, okay, right now you should remember the movie also, the person who wear the bandages, okay. Do you understand? Okay. Then next to that, the uncommon appearance, what happened, okay, it happened for Mrs. Hall, who is the landowner's wife, okay. And then she made a very effort to know about it, because everyone will be very curious, right? When someone looks very strange, definitely they will question them. That too, she is a lady of the inn, okay, the owner of the inn, right? So definitely she is make a very effort, very friendly to know about it. But Griffin was very determined that he had no desire to talk. Okay, he know the intention of her. Why she became very friendly means, in order to that, the next step she will be asking that what happened, why you look very different, your appearance is very uncommon, why you wear the bandages. She might have raised many questions. So in order to avoid that, Griffin was cleverly made that there is no desire to talk, and then she told her the reason also. What is the reason? That is very peculiar. See that my reason for coming up Epping, the village, it is a desire only for the reason. What it is? I want to be very solitude. I want to make myself for some more time in a lonely way. No one should disturb me. That is what the next thing. I do not wish to be disturbed, okay, in my work, okay, besides. And then he added another statement. Beside means now only we have discussed additional information. So besides, he added additional information. Not only I am here to make myself lonely like anymore, not to disturb. Of course, in addition to that, my kind of another information for you. Why I was wearing the bandage means, recently I had an accident that has affected my face. Okay. So he has given the reason even, okay, and even indirectly or directly he mentioned that not to disturb me towards the Mrs. Hall. So this is a very good what it is strategy like anymore, to not to make any conversation with Mrs. Hall, okay. And then she too satisfied with her guest. Mrs. Hall also satisfied, she also happy. Why? Because means she mentioned there is a very most important thing, eccentric scientist. The last exam they have asked in B and D, they have asked the meaning for the word eccentric. Okay, very different meaning, right? Okay, so eccentric scientist. So hereby in Mrs. Hall's way, in eyes, in her views, this scientist was considered as a eccentric scientist. Particularly eccentric means nothing but very strange scientist. Very strange scientist, okay. And in view of that fact, see the word that why she is very satisfied. Why she has mentioned that he is a very strange scientist means, the reason for that, he had paid her the payment in advance, okay, like next 2 months he has paid in a advance, okay. Yes, He paid in a advance. Advance means nothing but he paid the additional amount even. Okay. Then only she will be happy. So he has given the reason, and then he was mentioned directly or indirectly not to disturb me. Third, in order to make herself very happy, that she paid the amount in a advance. Okay. But Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper, because he has given the reason. He mentioned that not to disturb, and then he paid the money also. Okay. But the stolen money, okay, stolen money means recently he has taken the money from the theatrical company, right, by beating the shopkeeper, right. Okay. So that money may not be enough for the next of the weeks. First, for advance it is okay, but what happened, the stolen money did not last long. So what happened, the Griffin want to give any reason, or else definitely she will not satisfy like anymore. Okay. And then what happened, presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash now. So again he made a plan, which means he made a word like a wealthy person, how they will make. Okay, I don't have the ready cash like anymore. In same way he pretended that, and then he pretended another word. However, he made a word that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. So he means that you want to wait. Okay, as definitely the landlady also will accept that, because already if he had a money, he might be paid in advance, right. Already he had paid in advance, so definitely if the check comes, definitely he will pay like that. Okay, she also accepted it. Okay. But see the very next curious episode, see that word, that shortly after that the curious episode was occurred. So in a question they can ask you, in that footprints without feet, what sort of incident was considered as a curious episode? Means you should remember this incident. What happened? Very early in the morning, a clergyman means what, my dear? Clergyman means a churchman, means a priest who was there in a church. Okay, clergyman means churchman, which means a priest who was there in a church. Okay. And then both of them, they made a awkward by noise in the study, and then creeping it downwards. Okay, they heard a chunk of money. Okay, the chunk of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. Okay, they have heard some other noise of the, which means the shelling noise, the coins noise. Okay, and then they have not ready to notice right now exactly. Okay, without making noise. Okay, with a poker grabs the firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door and surrender. Okay, so and immediately what happened, when he was trying to open the door, he left the place very gently. He left the place. Okay, and the next to that, then to his amazement, particularly the clergyman's amusement. Okay, he realized that the room appeared to the empty, and he and his wife looked under the desk, behind the curtain, and even up the chimney. There was not sign of anybody. Okay, so see that. So when they heard the noise, and immediately they came to that place, and then searching in the room whether anybody was hiding there. Okay, because the money was not there, and then even though they looked into the dust, even the curtains, and even the chimney places, no one was there. Okay, and then yet the desk had been opened, the housekeeping money was missing. But even though everything was closed, and then no one was there in the house, but except one thing, the cupboard was open, the desk cupboard, and the money is missing, particularly the housekeeping money. Okay, extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. Okay, so definitely it is going to be something very different. Okay, but it was not extraordinary. Okay, beware of Mrs. Hall, a furniture little later that morning. Okay, another incident was happened. So they left that, the clergyman was not supposed to find out what happened. Okay, another incident. Okay, another incident, what happened, in the name of Mrs. Hall's furniture, the strange thing was happened to Mrs. Hall's furniture. What is that? See the next one. The landlord and his wife were up very early, where they are surprised. Another incident, this is not a clergyman. Another incident. Next day, when the landlord and the wife, when they wake up, they were very surprised. The very different thing. What is that? Usually he used to close the window, which means a door. Okay, but this is the very first day, what happened? The door was wide open. Okay, so they become very surprised. They have started to doubt. Usually it was shut and locked, but he was very curious if anyone enter into the room. Okay, and then the landlord and then the landlady, they may not suspect even the scientists. They thought that anybody may be enter into the house. Okay, so they might think that, okay, someone has entered into the house, okay, but actually we reader know what, okay. So the scientist alone will be the suspect like anymore. But anyway, the opportunity seemed to be good to miss, okay. So they peeped around the door, they enter into the door, and then they saw nobody there. Actually, they have not doubted the scientists. Actually, they went inside the room only that in order to, someone might be enter into the rooms of scientists. Okay, so in order to check that they have entered. So there is no sign. So they decided to investigate. Okay, the blood clots were very cold. Okay, and then showing that scientists must have been for some time. Okay, definitely recently the scientist must be left the place. The stranger, still the clothes and bandages that he always wear were laying above the room. So actually what happened, the clothes and bandages, simply it was there in the room. Okay, all of a sudden the Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. So that is a very strange thing. No one is there except her husband and her. But and immediately what happened, they heard the sniff sound. Okay, that too very close to her ear. Okay, the moment later the hat and the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into the hat. Dashed means nothing but suddenly the cap which was there in a bed, the hat, it was lifted up and then was coming very closer to her face. Okay, then the bedroom chair become alive. That's what the furniture incident. Okay, what happened? The bedroom chair become alive. Alive means nothing but it was moving, because we know that as a reader we know what it was taken by the, it was handled by the scientist, okay, Griffin. But according to the landlords, Mrs. Hall, okay, she may not know what is happening. Simply she made a word that alive means it was moving without anyone's supports, okay. And then springing into the air and charged straight at her legs and foremost, and she and her husband turned away in the terror, and the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room. So what happened with the help of the chair? Who has made them to push it out of the room, my dear? Scientists. But the Mrs. Halls and then the owner, which means the husband, may not know what is happening. Okay. And then Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs, and then it is very, very serious. Okay. Very, what it is, she become very annoyed like anything. But she was convinced that the room was haunted by the spirits. Even though very beginning when the door was open, they thought that someone has entered. Even though when the hat was coming like anything, okay, one who actually the hat usually weird by that scientist, the Griffin. Even the chair was pushing them out, the thrashing them out, but they had never doubted the scientists. They thought that it may be the spirit. This is a very important objective in extracts. Okay, so what sort of mindset? Okay, when they ittered over or when they saw the hat, they will give you the option. They have suspected the scientist, or they have suspected that it is the spirits, means the first option must be first, that very first they have suspected someone has entered. Secondly, when they have thrust them out, they suspect that may be the spirit. Second option. Okay, and then the stranger somehow caused this enter into her furniture. Okay, a poor mother used to sit in the chair and then she mourned, which means she cried and then she worried like anything. To think that should rise up against me now. Okay, feeling among the neighbors trouble was, it may be the witchcraft. They have thought that spirit, and then they have thought that it is like a witchcraft. Witchcraft means nothing but black magic. Okay, witchcraft means nothing but black magic. Okay, and then they have a word, whether it may be a witchcraft or not. When the news of burglary at the clergyman's home became known, this is the most important point, they thought that spirit, and then they thought that next it may be the black magic. But when they heard the burglary, which means the money has been robbed from the clergyman's house, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having hand in it. Do you understand what the intention of the writer here? Okay, so the landlady never suspected. They have suspected some like anyone or spirit like anymore until they received the information about the burglary thing, the robbed thing which was happened on the clergyman's house. Okay, the suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash. Now only they have started to realize it. Okay, yes, of course, definitely he has given the ready cash, right? Okay, though he had admitted not long before they had no money. Okay, she has made a word, no money, once recently I will receive the check, then I will give you. But he has given a money, that's what. The village constable was secretly sent. Instead of waiting, the constable, Mrs. Hall, went to the scientist, who had somehow mysterious appeared from his empty bedroom. Okay, I want to know the question, the dialogue between the landlord and between the scientist. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs. She demanded, and I want to know how it is you come out of an empty room and how you entered the locked room. Okay, so still she was in a confused. Suspicion is happened there. They 100% they have suspected that he is a person, but still now they need a question. Okay, and the next to that. That's all. We are going to finish. So what happened? The scientist, always a quick temper, right? He become very furious like anything. Okay, he become very furious, and then you don't understand who or what I am. He shouted, very well, I will show you. And then he started to throw off all his bandages and then whiskers and spectacles, even his false nose. Okay, and then he only taken a minute to do this. And then horrified people, the people become very scared like anymore. In the bar found themselves staring in the headless man. Okay, so without any head, okay, the man is there. He has taken his hat and then the glass and then the bandages and even the false nose, means definitely the dress alone will be there without a head. So every people started to fear like anymore. Mr. Jaffer, the constable, who has arrived, and then he too become very surprised like anymore. And then he was finding a reason how I supposed to arrest a man without a head. Okay, so this is also very important. Extra question they can ask you. Jaffers, what he said, even though he is a constable, he came here to arrest, but he made a statement how he is going to arrest a man without a head. But Jaffer was not easily prevented from doing his duty. The magistrate warrant ordered a person to arrest. The person has to be arrested or without or with a head. That's it. So he had a warrant from the magistrate to arrest this invisible man. That's it. So without a head or with a head, he won't arrest. Okay. The followed remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get a hold of the man was becoming more and more visible as he threw off one garment from another. Not only the, which means the bandages or a glasses or false nose like anymore. When he saw that the constable is going to arrest, and immediately he took off all his dresses one by one. Okay. Finally, a shirt flew into the air. The constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Very beginning he struggled without a head. Later, once the griffin take off all his dresses, he becomes very invisible. Okay, and then someone he could not see at all. Some people tried to help him, but there is no use at all. He hit them by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. In the end, Jaffer was knocked unconscious, and he last attempt to hold on the unseen scientist. Okay, so he was not caught by the constable even, he was hit. There were the nerves, excited cries on hold him, but this was easier said than done. Griffin had shaken himself free, and no one know where to lay hands on him. So end of a day, what happened? He has escaped. No one was ready to hold him. Okay, so this is what you should remember there. Okay, so in this lesson, very common thing, think about you means they will ask you the question. Okay, they will ask you the question like, okay, particularly, okay, about the scientist. About the scientist in the Griffin way, they will ask you that, okay, how about your answer like anymore, okay, when you are inverted something, in what way we have to use? That may be the most frequent question they can ask you. Apart from that, every incident is very important. It is like a next to Majbul the author, this story will confuse you. Okay, n number of incidents is there, but the characters are very few, but the incidents are very similar, and then it has a repetition like anymore that will easily confuse you when we compare to the Majbul the author story. Okay, so go ahead with the story. After taking lunch, please go ahead. Okay, question wise you go ahead. Now you know the summary of it, right? Next to that question wise you go ahead, then you will get the another perspective. Okay, book back question is there in your material, right? There in your material.